Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Let's talk about LSU and Arkansas, shall we? That's enough Utah Hockey Club for this Football Friday. All week we have talked about this spot for LSU, and y'all are well aware of that. I have broken this game down a lot of different ways. I've watched a lot of highlights of Arkansas. I have a pretty good feel for kind of what their personnel looks like, how they play, and statistically it kind of bears out that way. And I obviously know kind of what LSU's tendencies are. LSU has not dominated anyone this year. They got beat by USC. They came home and they were in a dogfight with Nichols in the third quarter, which was pathetic. They went to South Carolina and they got down 17-0. It was all they could do to get out of there with a win. But you figured they would probably take control against a terrible UCLA team like Indiana had done the week before, and they didn't do that. And so that's a little discouraging. Now, they beat up on South Alabama, sure, but that is South Alabama. I'm to the point where when you just look at this matchup, man for man, team for team, if this game was in Tiger Stadium, I think I would pick LSU to win this game by like 17 points. Like, I think this is a great matchup for LSU. I say that for a few reasons. Arkansas likes their pass rush. Landon Jackson's been really good there. I think LSU can completely neutralize that. I don't think Arkansas's secondary is very good. They haven't played anyone who can throw the ball outside of Mark Bowman at Oklahoma State, and he threw for over 300 yards on him in that game. Look, Peyton Thorne, not any good. Obviously, you look at what A&M has had at quarterback, and that's been very iffy. Marcel Reed played that game, and he is not a great thrower. It's not an Arkansas team that has played good quarterbacks, and Garrett Nussmeier is. And so I don't think that Arkansas secondary is great. I think LSU can go to work on them, and I think they're going to run the ball a little bit in this game as well. You look at Arkansas on offense, Taylon Green is not equipped to kind of hurt LSU in the secondary. It's just kind of a heavy running offense, and LSU's done okay stopping the run except for the big plays, and they've done a better job of stopping those. I thought they were in a pretty good spot on that 50-yard run that Ole Miss busted, missed a tackle, and that happened. So it's not a dominant run defense, but I don't know that I expect Arkansas to go up and down the field, and even when they have gone up and down the field, they've been bad in the red zone. So I love this matchup for LSU for a lot of different reasons. But it's going to be tough to go on the road and get this done because that crowd's going to be into it, and we've kind of seen that this year in the SEC. Now, yes, I can also point to the other side of the coin. I can tell you that Kentucky went into Oxford and won that game. I can tell you that Florida went up and should have won in Knoxville. Those are instances of the road team going on there and handling business. But it's going to be a tough environment. I talked to Josh Williams on Tuesday. I talked to Braden Swenson on Tuesday. Who else did we talk to on Tuesday? Jordan Gilbert was there, and they all said all the right things. They talked about how every game in the SEC is tough. They talked about how teams have gotten upset this year. They talked about the 24-hour rule and all that kind of stuff. And I tend to think of all the things that I trust in Brian Kelly's program, one of them is kind of the mental approach. And I feel like he beats that into their brains so early and so often in their LSU time with the questionnaires they have to fill out and all the supplements they have to take and their routine and their regiment and their preparation leading to performance and all the things that you hear Brian Kelly say all the time. I think that has been beaten into their brains. And LSU is not a young team. Whether you want to talk about some of the young guys that have played or not, and start to look at that. Look at the offensive line. 4 of those 5 guys are old. Garrett Nussmeier is old. Josh Williams, old. Kyron Lacey, old. CJ Daniels, old. Mason Taylor, old. Gio Paez, Braden Swenson, Savion Jones, Greg Penn, Zy Alexander, Sage Ryans, Major Burns. Like, look how many guys I'm rattling off here that have been in college 3, 4, 5 years. It's an old team. I do not expect LSU to show up flat. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves in sports commentary is when someone analyzing things or discussing the team says they came out flat. There are times where it applies, but sometimes you come out and just get your butt kicked. And that doesn't mean you came out flat. You just got beat. And I'm not ruling that out on Saturday for LSU, but I'm telling you, they're not going to come out and not be ready to play. You can point to the South Carolina game all you want, and maybe they were still licking their wounds. I'm not sure. But this team will be ready to go on the road. But I think Arkansas is going to be ready to go too. Bobby Petrino has done a good job with limited resources here, and their defensive coordinator has done a really good job as well. What we're going to find out in Saturday's game is whether or not that great defense that Arkansas has played is because Auburn's not good and Tennessee's offense is a mess and A&M was playing a backup quarterback and isn't dynamic on offense, and whether it's just that or if they're really, really good on offense. That's an interesting thing that we'll learn. It was the same kind of thing with LSU's defense last week, where we're like, all right, they've kind of played better against Lenoris Sellers and South Alabama. Can you step up in class and handle Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart? And they did. That's the question for Arkansas this week. Can they step up and move from the Peyton Thorne, Nico Iamaleava to dealing with Garrett Nussmeier, who's been among the nation's leaders in completion and done a really good job of moving the ball. Ultimately, and I'll talk about this in my pick coming up in 20 minutes, it feels like turnovers could play a crucial part here because Taylor Green has thrown 5 picks. Garrett Nussmeier has thrown 6 picks. And that could be a huge piece in this game, the generosity of these two quarterbacks throwing the ball to the wrong team. Taylor Green's have largely been due to inaccuracy. Garrett Nussmeier's have been due to poor decision-making. One of those is easier to clean up than the other. Decision-making is easier to clean up than inaccuracy. Taylor Green's never been an accurate quarterback. Taylor Green has completed between 57 and 62% of his throws his entire 3-year run as a starting quarterback in college football. He's not an accurate passer. So that is likely to crop up again on Saturday night. He's likely to misfire, whether he misfires low on a slant route and it's just an incomplete, or he sails one over the top and a safety is right there to catch it, remains to be seen. Garrett Nussmeier has got to take care of the football. On the road, it's imperative. LSU was able to overcome it in front of its home crowd last week. You cannot put yourself in that position again. If LSU limits the turnovers, and if they don't have one on Saturday, I think they'll win, and potentially comfortably. But right now, you're looking at a quarterback that made 2 bad decisions in South Carolina, that made 2 bad decisions against South Alabama, that made 2 bad decisions against Ole Miss. Those have to get cleaned up, and that's just part of it. If you're going to drop back to throw it 56 times like they did last week, the odds are you're not going to go 56 for 56 in decision-making. You'd like that. It'd be great if that was the case, but that's not always going to be the case. You need him to clean that stuff up. He took it seriously last week. It's not one of those deals where he thinks things are going great. I've covered specifically one LSU quarterback who would dismiss any notion that he wasn't playing very well. That's not the case with Nussmeier. They had one of the biggest win of his young career on Saturday, and he came into the post-game media session and said, that's the worst game I've played in my career. He knows he's got to clean that up. He's got to do it in this game. His offensive line will keep him clean. Decision-making has got to be clean. We'll see if Taylor Green's inaccuracy crops up and hurts Arkansas on Saturday. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.